evening everybody, Calm Biker here, going out for an evening ride and a cup of tea. It was too hot for tea earlier. It was 30 degrees C today, 35 degrees in my office with all the monitors and computer stuff running. Far too hot, but it's cooled down a lot, so it's a lovely night to get out, have a little ride and have a cuppa. And I thought I would tell you a little story, a cautionary tale as it were, which is for me at least, a very sad one, but ends well. So like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy and whose arm gets bruised, we'll leave the we'll leave the tension off the table. It does end well so far. I want to talk about mouth ulcers. I think in other parts of the world they might call them canker sores, something like that. I might have that entirely wrong. Oh, that gear shift is beautiful. Just tension my chain. Isn't it lovely when you've got a freshly tensioned chain? Anyway, I won't talk in this queue. I'll wait until we get going again. Off we go again. So let's talk about mouth ulcers. Those little annoying sores you get in your mouth. For some reason I don't know. But generally speaking, you can buy all sorts of things to treat. But a good glass of very salty water, that's the trick. My next door but one neighbour when I was a kid growing up taught me that one. Good old Ellie. That was her treatment for mouth ulcers. Always got rid of them really quickly. And you didn't fill your mouth up with that horrible goo, Bongella or whatever. Anyway, by the by, I'm getting dragged down in detail. I want to talk about why, if you do have a mouth ulcer and it doesn't go away, why you should treat that with some great caution. I'm going to do that by telling you a story. Just before Christmas last year, Mrs. C had a mouth ulcer. She had an ulcer on the side of her tongue, and it was bothering her. And she treated it with the usual, the Bongella, the little, I don't know what you call it actually, the other one. The one that goes like a little jelly lump on top and supposed to seal over and heal it. And it kind of went away a little bit, and then it came back again. And it went away a little bit, and it came back again. And it kind of changed a little bit. It had some like red bits near it and almost looked a bit fairy. It wasn't pussy, but it kind of looked like pus. Slightly weird white stuff on it, but you couldn't scrape it off. So next time she was at the dentist took a look at it and he said, "Oh, you best get that checked out." Now he gave a name for a thing. There's a thing you can get, and I've absolutely forgotten the name of the thing. And if it comes to me, I shall say it, and if it doesn't come to me, then I'll try and find it and stick the name on the screen somewhere. But anyway, he said there's this thing, and it looks just like this thing. And if it is that thing, then there are various things they can do. They can give it a treatment, like topical creams and things, or you can have it surgically scraped off. And if you're treating it with creams and things like that and it doesn't go away, then you need it kind of surgically scraped off, because over time it can become worse and turn into things that are much nastier. I think I've got one of Mrs. C's hairs in my helmet. It's landed in front of me, eye on the visor. It's certainly not one of mine, for I have none. Certainly none of that length. Anyway, so he said you best get it checked out. So made an appointment at I think they call it maxillofacial, I think is the proper name. They call it MaxFax, and it's all to do with problems with your mouth, your jaw, your face, that kind of thing. So she went there and saw a specialist, and the specialist said, "Yeah, what we want to do is just take a little piece of that away, just want to check it." And she said, "Well, yeah, I wanted to be careful because the dentist had said could be this thing, could be cancer." And the surgeon rolled his eyes at that and went, kind of, you know, basically the idea was, it ain't cancer. So she had this little piece taken away to have analysed, just to make sure it wasn't anything bad. We went back a few weeks later, and that's when our world fell apart, because the dentist was right and Mrs. C had mouth cancer. And even now saying it, I might have to take a minute. Bear with me. Okay, I've recomposed myself. This is fresh, very fresh. I wasn't actually sure I was ready to do the video, to be honest, but Mrs. C insisted. Anyway, so after we kind of computed what was going on, we were told that Mrs. C would need to have an operation, or indeed 2 operations, but all done together. Two procedures, 1 operation, I guess, 1 anaesthetic. And the first procedure was that they'd taken a little sample of what turned out to be cancer, so they wanted to take the rest away, of course. So the first procedure would be to cut that out of a tongue. Now it turns out they do that through the magic of laser beams. So one of the things was to laser off part of a tongue, and the other one is the rather disturbingly named neck dissection, which involved cutting her neck front to back to remove lymph nodes. She also had an MRI scan, and they said they wanted to have a CT scan as well. So those were the 2 things we did first. Went off and got the scans, and the first bit of good news we got was the scans came back clear, and they said, you know, they still want to go ahead with these other 2 things. One, obviously she's got cancer in her tongue, and that needs to be taken out before it gets worse. And the other one, the neck dissection to take the lymph nodes, they said that the problem there is that the scans will pick up lumps and whatnot, but to actually understand if it's spread at all to the lymph nodes, where it could be microscopic to the point where a scan isn't going to be able to see it, then they need to take the lymph nodes out and analyse them. So it was about 3 weeks ago she went into hospital for a week, had those surgeries done. That was a very long week indeed. If it was a long week for me, it was a horrendously long week for her. Funnily enough, there was an article came out on one of the newspaper or magazine websites just after she came out, from Kirsty Allsop of location fame, saying that Hull's hospital visiting was disgraceful. And I have to say that part of it was, she was only allowed 1 visitor per day. It had to be the same visitor every time, so it was always me. Her parents actually turned up at the hospital to visit her after ringing up and being told they could, but then weren't allowed in for infection control, for COVID still. So 1 visit a day for 1 hour and no more, so 23 hours on her own every day after coming through these operations, or these procedures. And to make it worse, you know, she's had a fairly large section of her tongue taken away, so she couldn't even speak. To be fair, she couldn't speak, she couldn't swallow. Yeah, it was a bad position. The first night was pretty bad. The second night was very disturbing because she was trying to take a painkiller that she couldn't swallow. But anyway, she came out after a week, and they said that we had to make an appointment to come back in a couple of weeks, where we went to yesterday. And the good news, I told you it ended on good news, didn't I? The good news is that the lymph nodes came back clear. So right now she doesn't have cancer anymore. I said to her, she's possibly one of the most unlucky people I know. This is the 2nd time in her life she's had cancer. The first one a lot worse. I've talked about that in the past, I'm not going to go into that again. And not only that, she's had to put with me for the past nearly 30 years. So yeah, quite a shock, quite a bad couple of months that we've had recently. Certainly the reason I haven't been getting out of my bike very much and making videos and things, because I'm sorry to say it, viewers, but you were the last people on my mind. But hopefully you'll understand. But as I say, Mrs. C thought it was a video that she wanted me to make, and I think it is an important thing, because we get these little things, you know, like a mouth ulcer that won't go away, and we ignore them. It's a British thing for sure, definitely of my generation. It's a male thing as well, and very much a Yorkshire thing. Nothing's going to stop us. We talk about nout when it comes to feelings and health and all that kind of thing. We just get on with it. And maybe this shows you why sometimes that's completely the wrong idea. She was lucky. She found it before it spread. As they described it as stage 1 cancer, I think they said they called it. So she found it before it spread, because that could have been a whole different ballgame. Yeah, I'm not sure how to end this one. I don't think anything I can say will end this one on a high for me, other than the high that we felt yesterday walking out of the hospital, knowing that you know, things were on the up. She's now going to go and see, she's going to go back to the hospital every 4 to 6 weeks for the next year to be checked up on. We've got to get her back eating again, because she's not really eating. She finds it difficult to swallow. We've got to get her back speaking again. Her speech is vastly improved, but it's not where it could be. Though a lot better than the first few days when she couldn't talk at all. But for the next year, every 4 to 6 weeks, we'll be going in there, getting checks and helping her aid her recovery. And then for another 4 years, she'll get regular checks, just not quite as often. And you know, hopefully this is the end of it. But yeah, I don't know how to end it on a high. What can I say? I'll just say thanks for watching, everyone. Ride safe. Look after yourselves. Don't ignore things. And I'll talk to you all again soon. £1.87.9 for petrol. They're having a laugh.